Greetings everyone. Today we're going to explore multiplying polynomials. So poly meaning many terms, so that could be more than one. It could be 2, 3, 4, and so on. So the way we're going to approach this today, and there's no real sort of set notes. We're going to do a lot of examples, but these would be the only notes we could jot down, are the three ways that we're going to discuss multiplying polynomials. So the first method is going to be the box method. This is more of a visual, okay? This is a method that's more for students that are struggling. So if you find this topic difficult, then you might want to try the box method, okay? Distribution, I'm going to give it a green arrow. This is the, dare I say it, the best option because distribution can carry over into so many more types of mathematical problems. And FOIL method would sort of be the in-between option. FOIL stands for first, outer, inner, last. So I'm going to write that out. But the downside is, you guys, we can only use first, outer, inner, last if it's a binomial times a binomial. So you're kind of limited. It only works in that very unique situation. So we're going to explore all of them so you can see what works best for you and can you have fluid thinking between these methods. All right, so first of all, let's take a look at this box method. So you can see that I have my multiplication in between my binomials, meaning two terms times two terms. Because I have two terms, I'm going to have two columns. And because I have two terms in the other, I'm going to have two rows. So we're looking at a 2 by 2 box. So the first binomial is an n and a positive 7. The second binomial is an n and a negative 1. So this just sets up the visual of multiply each row by each column. So n times n is n squared. 7 times n is 7n. N, I'm doing the outer n, times negative 1 is negative 1n. And 7 times negative 1 is negative 7. So it's very visual, and you might have done area models in elementary school, so maybe that connects with you. And then I need to write my final answer, meaning combine like terms. All right, so if I take a look, there's only one n squared. There's a 7n and a negative 1n. If I combine those, I have a positive 6n. And my constant, there's only one, and it's a negative 7. So again, this isn't the ideal because it's sort of the longest method as well. But what I really like is I could give you like 15 terms times 15 terms. In the box, I would do the box myself if it was that big. So it opens up doors and options, and I want to show that to you. Distribution, this is the ideal method, meaning typically when we have a monomial, we distribute it in, but now I have a binomial. So what that means is I'm going to treat this like a monomial first, distribute, and then another monomial, distribute, and distribute again, okay? So some teachers might say double distribution, okay? You could do triple distribution, quadruple distribution. So let's take a look here at the first monomial that I would distribute. So if I look at the n times n is n squared. N times negative 1 is negative 1n. Watch your signs. All right, that takes care of the n. We distributed it to everything. Now let's look at the 7. Positive 7 times n is positive 7n. Positive 7 times negative 1 is negative 7. Then, as always, take care of combining those like terms, and you'll want to write it in standard form, meaning decreasing exponents. So if you look, we got the same answer, right? There was just a little less writing. FOIL. FOIL is the in-between. We have a binomial times a binomial, so that works, okay? So when we look at that, here's when we say first, outer, inner, last. We're taking a look. F. F means the first terms. They're the first ones. So n times n is going to be n squared. And then we look at outer. Outer is the outermost terms. So an n times a negative 1 will be a negative 1n. Inner. Inner stands for the inner terms, the inside ones. So a 7 times an n is a positive 7n. And last is the last terms in each binomial, which is a 7 times a negative 1, which is a negative 7. And just as the other methods before, you need to combine like terms and write in standard form. All right, so let's take a look. This is example 1. Definitely jot this one down. And at this point, you guys, if you want to choose only one method to write down, please do so. You do not have to write down all 3. I want you to connect to one and just do that. I'm going to zoom through each of the methods just so you can see, okay? So box method. I have an x and I have a negative 8. I have an x and a positive 2. They could be flipped, right? I could put the x plus 2 on top and the x minus 8 on bottom. Gets me to x squared, negative 8x, 2x, negative 16. If I combine like terms, it's only the x's I can combine, negative 6, negative 16. All right, distribution, the ideal, I'm going to distribute x times x times 2, all positive. Then distribute negative 8 times x and negative 8 times 2. Combine like terms to arrive at the same answer. And FOIL, okay? FOIL's first, outer, inner, last. So first, x times x is x squared. O is outer. 2 times negative, 2 times, 2 times x. So positive 2x. Inner is x times negative 8, negative 8x. And last is 2 times negative 8, negative 16. Again, combine like terms to arrive at the same answer. Okay, for this example, you guys, I want you to jot it down and try your preferred method. Pause the video, okay? I'm only going to show the answer to this one, all right? All right, so hopefully you've tried this on your own, okay? Choose whichever method, but the final answer is going to be 2n squared, and after you've combined like terms, you should have a positive 9m, I know my letters, plus 10. Okay, doesn't matter which method you chose, you should have arrived. You probably would have had a 2n squared plus 4n plus 5n, which gets to 9n and 10. All right, so first of all on this one, let's take a look. What does squared mean? It means multiplying something by itself. So what this actually is saying is this binomial times itself, okay? Watch your signs. I want you to take and pause this video, multiply, whichever method you prefer, and make sure we arrive at the same answer. All right, so let's take a look. Your final answer should have been 4y squared negative 12y plus 9. All right, so your first was 2y times 2y. Your terms that you would have had to have combined was negative 6y and negative 6y. And then you also had negative 3 times negative 3. All right, same thing on this one. I'm not going to show every method. If you do need that help, reach out to me and let me know. But pause the video, choose your method, and then I'm going to show you the final answer. All right, let's take a look. This is unique. This final answer, you guys, believe it or not, is x squared minus 49. we don't have an x term because you would have had a positive 7x and a negative 7x. When you combine those like terms, it's 0x. So in your work, you might see this with the 0, but oops, sorry, my pen. Okay, 0x, but we don't want to write it that way, okay? We don't need to include that. So this is a unique one. Look at the pattern. We're going to spend more time on that pattern later on, okay? All right, let's talk about this. Ooh, I have a binomial times a trinomial, okay? So here's the thing. We can't use FOIL, all right? Because that only works if I have a first and an outer and an inner last. But now I got that extra middle term. So I have to use box or distribution. So this one I will show. So first, if you want to try box, doesn't matter if you do a 3 by 2 or a 2 by 3. Either way works. So I have a positive x and a positive 3. I have an x squared, a 2x, and a 1. X times x squared, x cubed. 3 times x squared, 3x squared. 2x times x, 2x squared. 3 times 2x, 6x. 1 times x, 3 times 1. So now if I look at my like terms, I go down in exponents. So the highest exponent I see is 3. There's only one of them. And then I look and I say, oh, there's 2x squareds. If I combine them, 5x squared, because 2 plus 3. Oh, I got 2x terms. If I combine them, 7x, and a single constant left over. Let's look at that distribution, the ideal method. That means I'm going to distribute the x to the x squared. I'm going to distribute the x to the 2x. Don't forget that's a 2x squared, and the x to a 1. All right, now I'm going to look at distributing the 3. 3 times x squared. Watch what I'm going to do here. I like to write them underneath for the next set because then I can do addition for combining like terms. A 3 times a 2x, positive 6x. Oops, and then a 3 times a 1, positive 3. So look, if I have lined them up that way, look how nice that is. My final answer would be 1x cubed, 5x squared, 7x, because technically there's a 1 there, plus 3. All right, so let's take a look at this last one. If I take a look, I have a trinomial times a binomial, so I cannot use FOIL, you guys. Also, you'll notice we wrote the trinomial before the binomial, so you could flip that around. If you'd prefer, let's say, x minus 5 to be first, followed by the trinomial, you could do that. Doesn't matter, it's just an option, okay? So I want you to pause, work this out, and then check back to see if you got the same answer. All right, let's take a look. Your final answer should be x cubed minus 8x squared plus 25x minus 50. All right, if you need extra help with that, if you're not sure, get a hold of me and let's get together and we can work it out. All right, so we just covered how to multiply polynomials 3 different ways. Again, I want you to pick the method that sticks with you. Box is more writing, okay? But I'm okay if you choose that method. FOIL only works with binomials, but it's pretty quick. Distribution works no matter what, okay? But you just have to be really confident in your layout and your steps. So next steps, as always, please make sure you check Google Classroom. What other expectations are there? What else do we need to do? If you have questions, reach out to me. Let me know. Let's set something up. Let's figure it out together. And until next time, I hope you have a good one.